Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello and welcome to this special episode at Manarat Riyadh International School. I'm Marzoug, Naseeb, and today we're honored to have a very distinguished guest, Professor Nicholas Coburn-Palo. He's here in Riyadh for the very first time, and before he heads back to the United States, we had him come to us to have a conversation about education, ambition, and the journey of learning. Thank you, Professor, for being here.
It's really my pleasure. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So this is your first visit to Saudi Arabia. How has the experience been so far?
It has been fantastic. I think, like most Americans, my primary images of Saudi come from watching bad movies and doing a little bit of reading in the newspapers. And it's been so different than I thought. I thought maybe people would be very stiff, conservative, formal. I found people incredibly welcoming, incredibly friendly. The only thing I haven't loved as much is your traffic, but I think that, everyone maybe has that reaction. So.
Yeah. So what brought you to Saudi Arabia?
Well, Saudi Arabia is a standing interest of mine. About 15 years ago, I moved to East Asia because I thought that's where all the action was. I lived in Taipei for 5 years, and that is where the excitement was at that point in time. But now I feel like the action is in the Gulf region, that Oman, Saudi, Qatar, Bahrain, these countries are where the world is looking to right now. And then my friends at the New York Empire Academy brought me an opportunity to come here, and I could not say no. And I'm so glad I did.
That's wonderful. So you said you were reaching action, right? So you've been to many countries. I've heard you've been to South Africa, South Korea, and much more. So I wanted to ask, what stood out to you the most about students here in Riyadh?
I would say that they almost want to rip the learning from you. They're so excited to learn. They are exposed to good education, but it's a very traditional style of education. And when they're exposed to simulation learning and exercises and soft skills outside of just an ordinary subject area, their ears just perk up and they want to know more. For example, just this morning, we had students give up their weekend, give up their mornings, which I know, which I hate mornings. So the fact that they got up early, to get this extra learning, deeply impressive. And they were so intellectually precocious. Lots of questions. They lined up to give their speeches. In America, sometimes I have to grab the students and they're almost kicking and screaming to make them give their speeches. Here, they lined up afterwards to give extra speeches.
Everybody wants to take the opportunity.
They really are. I think that there's a sense of excitement about Vision 2030 that's filtering down to the high school students, and they realize it'll be peaking at the time they are graduating from college, and they're very excited about it.
So now let's talk about education. You've been teaching at Harvard, a place known for excellence worldwide and its prestige. What would you say makes students in top universities stand out the most?
I would say that they have an internal drive that separates them from others. And what I mean by that is that people will do sometimes just enough to get themselves by. There's another group of students who are always looking for extra opportunities. It's said that habit breeds character, and the habit of persistence and looking for opportunities tends to set students at elite institutions apart. And so at Harvard, when you get to Harvard, everyone does well in their classes, everyone's interested, but everyone's also looking for outside activities and opportunities and associations. And that really is a defining quality of the place.
So it's not just about perfect grades.
Oh, no, not at all. That once you get into Harvard, you still continue to care about your grades, but more than that, you're looking to find connections that will bind you for the rest of your life. The alumni network at Harvard, I would say, is unrivaled. They really are a great job of connecting each other and creating opportunities for each other.
Now, let's say a student here in Riyadh from an international school wants to apply abroad. What advice would you give him to make his application more genuine and stronger?
I would say that for students coming from Saudi and from Riyadh, you are the exotic other in American universities. In the same way, I was surprised by what I saw in Saudi. I think that elite universities, yes, you have to have the test scores. Yes, you have to have the grades. Yes, you have the letters, but they're trying to build a classroom full of interesting ideas and eclectic individuals. They don't want everyone to be the same. They don't want 8 hammers in their toolbox. They want a hammer, a screwdriver, a wrench, and students from Saudi, they are coming from a unique place at a unique time. I would say especially female students, to be honest, because there's an excitement about the fact they're getting more opportunities.
They care the most about academics.
Yes, very much so. So there's a strong focus. So you have to check all the boxes. You need good grades. You need good test scores. But beyond that, what are you going to bring to the classroom? Those discussions that will enliven and invigorate those discussions in a way American students simply can't, because they're all similar to each other.
What about personal statements and essays? How can somebody make them reflect who they are?
That's a great question. I won't pretend to be an expert on college admissions. I teach, I don't sit on admissions committees. But I would say you have to have that personal thing that sets you apart. The second thing is do research about the individual school. You're going to write a common application essay. That goes everywhere. But for the elite schools, there's a secondary essay. Do your research. Find a particular program at that school, an activity, a professor in a certain department who you want to work with. That's going to impress the admissions committee. They're going to know that you just didn't send out 30, 40 applications and hope that one of them sticks. They want to know that you want to come to their place in particular, especially really good schools like Brandeis or Chicago. They're maybe outside of the Ivy League, but are still very good. They want to know why you want to be there. And so you have to do your research to do that.
So, what advice would you give to students who want to make positive change?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think that right now we're at such an interesting time. We don't really know what's going to come next in our society. World affairs are being shaken up like a snow globe. And so I think that if students want to make a difference, they need to learn how to learn. Because the one skill, 5 years ago, everyone's like, learn coding. You'll never lack for a job. And now all the coders, unless you're really, really elite, are lacking for a job. So don't specialize on a certain skill. Don't try and be the flavor of the week. Instead, major in areas like psychology, communication, even English literature, things that teach you how to learn. And that skill will allow you to adapt to changing circumstances.
About what you said about change in society, education is changing rapidly fast, especially in these times. You got, the AI, global learning opportunities, and much more. From your view, what do you think students, what type of skills do you think students should have in this new future?
I think that more than ever, the soft skills, communication skills, things like, for example, being able to give a speech, being able to especially be an effective listener. Right now, I work with companies all over the world, and people are so distracted by their devices. They have such short attention spans that the ability to provide focus, to show that you're mentally disciplined, and to make others feel heard. That's something that AI can't do yet. A chatbot can't do. 100%. To look someone in the eye and make them feel heard and valued. That skill's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Before we end this interview, we'd like to have a quick round of questions, some light questions to end it on a fun note.
I love it. Bring it on.
A book you think every student should read?
I'm going to cheat and give you two. If you want to work on diplomacy, there's a book by Henry Kissinger called Diplomacy. Now, I don't like Mr. Kissinger's politics, but it's a masterful explanation of how diplomacy has worked over the last 150 years. It's very academically well written. But I think an underrated book is by an author named William Ury, who's a Harvard professor and an expert on negotiation. You may have heard of him. He's given a lot of TED Talks, and he wrote one book with Roger Fisher called Getting to Yes. But it's his follow-up book, Getting Past No, that most people haven't read. It's only 100 pages long in paperback, but literally every page has 3 or 4 valuable pieces of advice about how to persuade people in specific situations. I would strongly recommend it.
A daily habit that helps you stay productive.
A daily habit is closing the internet and putting my phone away and making myself think deeply. I think that so many times we're reacting to stimuli in society or reacting to opportunities. We forget our grand strategy. We don't think of why we're doing something, the broader mission. So finding time every day to step away from everything and think about what your broader mission is, that's a habit that I try not to lose.
One word to describe your first visit to Riyadh.
Amazed, shocked, happy. I cheated. I picked 3. But really, it's mostly just being confounded by my own expectations, my own assumptions. I've been to a lot of exotic, interesting places, nothing like Saudi.
And finally, one piece of advice you think every student should remember.
Treat people like they matter, like they value. There's a saying at the United Nations, be nice to people on the way up, because you'll see them again on the way down. In life, you don't know where opportunities will come from. I've had former students hire me when they stopped being students and moved on. You don't know where the opportunities will come from, but niceness never hurts. Lead with politeness, lead with humbleness. It can never lead you wrong.
And just one more advice you have for schools like ours to thrive for the future.
As I look around your school, you're already off to a great start. You have the great facilities and infrastructure. I would say one thing you can do is don't be afraid of conflict. Destructive conflict's a bad thing. Creative conflict leads to the clash of ideas. And in the same way iron sharpens iron or pressure creates diamonds, by creating a culture of the marketplace of ideas where the best ideas rise to the top, that's how you achieve true excellence.
Thank you, Professor, for being here with us today. We really enjoyed talking with you. We benefited a lot, to be honest. You enlightened me personally, and it's been a pleasure
I
having you.
really appreciate the opportunity. I plan to return to Saudi, and hopefully we can continue this conversation when I do so.
We wish you a safe travel back to the United States, and of course, we hope you come back.
Thank you. I certainly will.
Thank you so much.